Hey everybody, this is a Sliders review, and I literally just found out that today is International Women's Day. Who knew? I didn't, because I'm a man. And because so since I never knew this holiday, growing up, so I've now decided to try to crank out as many videos as possible as I can today, slowing down the other videos that I already recorded and stuff. So I'm gonna have to delay those. Chances are when these videos do upload, it probably won't be today. It'll probably be tomorrow, maybe, who knows. But hey, let's try to speed through this right here, right now. So I'm here today to talk to you about Star Trek Voyager Season 3 Macrovirus. So this will probably be my last International Woman video. I wanted to kind of cap it off with the very first female Star Trek captain. She was the first female, Captain Janeway was the first female to have her very own Star Trek television show. Even though there has been female captains in other Star Trek shows, but she was the first to get her own show. And I figured what better way to cap it off and end it with her. I wasn't able to upload it the day of International Women's Day. I had to do it like the day after. Hey, stuff happens. It takes a while to make videos and watch stuff and, this and this, record audio and stuff. And so, like, I probably will end it with her. I thought about doing two other women, but I decided I'll probably do those with just like regular videos because I want to talk about those shows at a later point in time. And so, Macrovirus was probably my first real favorite all-time Voyager show. Because like the first season was okay, and the first two seasons were like okay and stuff, but it was like there was nothing really that made me like really like woohoo about like an actual episode other than like the pilot and stuff. I mean, there were some good episodes and some really good Star Trek episodes, but it was just kind of like none of them were like my favorite. But I remember this one being like one that kind of really got me interested in Voyager to where I started paying attention a whole lot more. The storytelling started to get like a whole lot better. And I also love those like focus center like captain episodes where they get to have to like retake their ship and stuff like that. 'Cause you know how it is for the Star Trek captain. Like they just sit on the bridge and like that's it. Well, unless you're Kirk or Archer or Burnham and everything. But the other ones just had to like sit on the bridge and like let everybody else do all the fun. So it was always great. And I remember the very first time I saw something like that was in Next Generation when the Enterprise got taken over by these like aliens and Picard like by himself had like regained the ship. And I remember that was just like an awesome episode. And when they did this one, I was like, oh man, that's even awesomer and stuff like that. And so like this was back when Star Trek was so good. Oh man. I miss these days so much. I'm so sick and tired of all this CBS Star Trek crap. I have not yet seen Star Trek Picard Season 2. I don't know when I'm going to get my Paramount Plus back. Because right now, I just got done with HBO Max. I'm probably gonna do Apple TV again. Try to hurry and get through that just so I can watch Dickinson and stuff. And like something else I wanted to do, I forgot what it was. Anyway, but it'll probably take a while if I get Paramount Plus. I really don't feel like constantly paying like prescription per month just to finish out Picard. I'll probably wait until Picard and Halo are probably like done and then I'll probably get in, I don't know, something like that. But anyway, this episode was really cool. It's kind of like, man, what if a virus could get like really big? They'll take over the world and kill everybody and stuff. And so like, but it's just the thought. And that's what was so great about like shows like this is the what if, you know what I'm saying? And that's why Star Trek has to be episodic, to give you variety. And then when they do the whole season story arc thing, it gets kind of boring after a while. And especially if the payoff isn't all that great. Like some little grown man acting like a kid screaming, and that takes out warp drive and everything. Like, come on, man. Like, that's just, I don't know. Like, I said, I mean, they could have did something better than that. But I digress. Anyway, so in this episode, we see Neelix and the captain. They're with the alien species known as the Tat Tat. And that was a really interesting species. I wish they could have had them on for a little bit longer. But then again, with all their movements and stuff, they probably got irritating really fast. But they're really interesting. Basically, they're a species that use movement as they like speak and gestures and stuff. And if you get the wrong like body movement or gesture wrong, it's very offensive. It reminds me of like Indian culture. I remember when I was watching So You Think You Can Dance, and they had the very first Bollywood number on there teaching the dancers, and the dancer dudes all like, you get one hand movement like wrong and do like something else, it could be offensive and you can offend an entire country. And so that's why I never do Bollywood. I don't want to offend nobody and stuff. But that's what the species reminded me of. So the captain dude, he was pissed at Janeway, but Neelix had to like square things over. So when they're in the shuttlecraft, Janeway's talking about how she'll never put her hands on her hips again, and like she's so thankful Neelix was there. And then she promoted him to ambassador, which I guess kind of makes sense since he is the only local there other than Kes, but Kes never really been out. And it's always funny how that dude kept like jumping in the ranks, and he was like the jack of all trades of like Star Trek and everything. One thing that's always bugged me when they in shuttlecrafts, it's like, okay, you can see when the camera is on the outside of the shuttle, it's moving, right? But when you're inside the shuttle and you see the stars in the mirror, the stars never move. So if you're moving forward, why aren't the stars moving? That always bugs me when they do like shuttles and ships and the thing clearly is moving, but the stars stay completely still. I guess they do that so in case they have to mess up and do a retake, they can't like put the stars back in the right spot. But they got better CGI for that now, but things like that are more practical and stuff. And so, like, when they try to get to the rendezvous point where Voyager, it's not there. But then they find it I can't talk tonight, half a light year away. And so they go there, and when they get onto the ship, it's completely deserted. It's like the corridors are all dark, the rooms are all dark, and that what made like this more intense, the suspense. What happened to like the crew? Why is it so dark? They're going through corridor and room by room, and everything's so dark with their phasers and tricorders in hand, and you don't know what the world is like around the corner. But then as they start like scanning the ship and certain things, they start to see that like there's like this green ooze, and it has like alien type DNA, and so it's freaky, it's a mystery, and that's what makes it so good. It's almost like horror almost, And so as they're like investigating more, they're in the turbo lift, and they start to hear this weird banging, buzzing noise. And it's like, uh-oh. And we don't have no idea really what it is. I don't know if the trailer showed what it is ahead of time. I hope not, but yeah, like if you never saw the trailer and you just like going by like what's going on by what you're seeing, it's like, man, what is it? And that noise is getting like louder and louder and louder. And Neelix is getting freaked out, and as Janeway is like tapping at the console trying to like make it move in there, make the turbo lift move. You can see she's a little worried too on her face. And so, like, as they're like crawling around in the turbo lift, something busts through it and sprays Neelix, and his chest is covered with this green ooze. I'm like, is he gonna die? I'm just because I didn't like Neelix back then, so I was just kind of like fingers crossed. But I don't know. After that dude left the ship in the last season, it was just kind of like, I miss him now. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of which. So as they're going around room to room, they go to Samantha Wildman's room, and she just had a baby, right? Naomi. And I've been thinking, how many years was Voyager in the Delta Quadrant? They said 7, because it lasted for 7 seasons. But when you think of Naomi being born in either season 2, I believe it was. Yeah, she was born in season 2 because of the cliffhanger when they got deserted on that basic episode. So, but then when we see her in season 4, she looks like she's about 4 or 5 years old. So, and I never really thought about that. I just completely like passed that by and everything. Or thought maybe since she's a half alien, Qatarian, maybe she grows faster. So Voyager had been there for a whole lot longer than 7 years and stuff. So, who knows? I wonder what the Alpha fandom page will say. But anyways, so as they're like discussing what's going on and still scanning everything, Nimitz has grown like a fever. But Janeway has now scanned for her crewmates above a couple of depths, but she don't know exactly where because the readings are erratic and everything because of the whole biometric like gel everywhere. They also discovered that one of the gel pads has been like infected and everything, or ruptured or something like that. Now, the binaural gel pads, that's something that's always confused me because no other starship has ever had it except for Voyager. And not only that, but remember, I think it was in season 2 or maybe 1, the ship got like infected and they had to heat up the warp core and everything to get the infection out. And I think they said the gel pads were all messed up and they had to go back to isolinear chips, but they kept using the gel pads, so maybe the writers forgot or something. So anyway, so as she goes to get like a med kit, Nimitz screams and something has taken him. And we still don't know what. So at this point in time, Janeway goes all commando and everything. She heads to engineering. She grabs like a weapon storage unit, and then she prepares herself. She gets a book bag, she gets some supplies, a nice little bomb, a type 2 phaser rifle, and a knife. I never thought about them having knives in Star Trek. Like, I know Klingons and other people have knives, but I didn't think the people of Earth would still use a knife. I mean, they use laser scalpels. You think they'll probably use like a lightsaber type knife, but they don't. And so she takes off her uniform. We get to see the undergarment and everything, which is something rare you get to see. So she's wearing her little grayish purple tank top, and she heads on out. I love the Type 2 phaser rifle. It was such a nice design. And it was cool seeing them in Star Trek First Contact. But I love the compression rifles just as much. And so, she's heading on out looking for whatever it is that has like taken her crew. She heads to the bridge. She encodes an encrypted message asking for help for any like nearby starships, right? And all of a sudden we hear this weird buzzing noise and we see something coming closer to her, but we don't know what. And then all of a sudden she smacks her arm and it's like, dude, what the world's going on? Like, what like got you? And it looks like a tiny bug of all things, right? And it's bleeding like red stuff. Or I mean, that's her blood. And so it's like, wait, a bug? That's what's like causing all this crap. So it's like she used a dermal regenerator, but it's like doesn't really work. But then she starts to see like the life signs and everything. And so she goes into the mess hall and there's her entire crew. And as she's like there, I think this is now when we finally see what's been getting everybody. We see this weird like brownish, goldish, like marshmallow looking thing with tentacles. And it's like floating all around. And I gotta say, the CGI on that wasn't all that great. This is like the earlier days, but the CGI just didn't make sense. But she blasted, and this has always been weird. The rifle shoots out like a phaser blast, a long beam instead of like short bursts that is known for doing. it just doesn't look right coming from that rifle. It comes better with a compression. So anyway, she leaves the mess hall after like she can't like free everybody, but then she sees when she's I think it's Jacote, I think, these tiny little bug looking things coming from his neck. And so she makes her way to sick bay. I didn't even know the mess hall and sick bay are right around the corner. And so like um she's trying to get in, but all of a sudden the door opens and somebody puts like a phaser to her neck. It's the doctor and everything. And so like he tells her what's been going on as he's performing surgery because she has some broken ribs and stuff. And so he tells her what happened when they were gone. They got a distress signal from like this alien species. They were sick. Since he was the only person who could go down there because he's like a hologram and everything, he went on his very first away mission because he's able now to lead the ship because he now has the mobile emitter, which they named it two different things in this like episode. And so like he goes down there and he's all happy and giddy, being like his happy giddy self. And he finds like he finds like a sick person, and he finds the first sign of the microvirus. It looks like a tiny little bug flying around. And he's so happy and giddy, he wants to bring it back with him, but Chakotay will not allow him. So then he sees one of like the sick people who tries to get back on the ship with him, but he won't allow it. And then when he beams back, some of the bugs have like, well, viruses have came back to like the ship with him, but the filters wasn't able to filter them out because they made their way into like the ship systems. And after that, boy, everything went crazy. So like they infected a gel pack. When Balana went to go investigate, it burst on her and all this green ooze like this was on her like hand. It's like ugh. And then so like people started getting sick left and right. And he had a huge epidemic on his hands. One in which he didn't have a chance, or he didn't know what a cure was at that time. But then he was able later to find one. But as he was trying to find one, the little viruses are in sick bay, or at least one of them is. And so like it grows like crazy. He has to put it behind a force field. So at some point he is able to use his antidote on the thing and it kills it. So, but before he could like administer it through like the entire ship, he got attacked. And so he's been hiding out in sickbay the whole time. And I gotta say, for a person who is a hologram, he sure is a scaredy cat and everything. And like, but I understand he's scared because that something happens to the emitter, like he's offline, you know? And so Janeway is now gonna help. He gives her like the antidote because she's also been affected. And so they're gonna try to head to environmental control and everything. Well, of course, that goes kind of crazy because they have to go through the Jeffrey tubes. And for some reason, he doesn't bring a phaser with him. Um, I guess because he's not used to like moving around the ship or whatever and doing like, you know, soldiery type stuff. So they go through like they go through like the Jeffrey tubes, but this is the part that kind of got rushed. As soon as he leaves her, I guess a moment in time has passed, and then he contacts her like, "Look, I fled to the shuttlecraft. I got scared," and stuff. So she's all like, "Okay, whatever. I'll just like kill myself." So she's taking a couple out and everything, and so when she goes to environmental control, she's about to release the antigen until her ship is attacked by the Tat Tat. They have now killed that alien species that has like was infected, and now they plan on killing Voyager to purify the virus. And so she persuades them to stop, but now environmental control is out. And ironically, environmental control looks a lot like the science lab. And so she heads to the holodeck and programs something to make a bunch of holographic people because the aliens, or not aliens, but the virus is attracted to infrared like heat signature, and a hologram will like produce that, right? And so I love how she's so smart. Like that's one thing about Janeway because she's a scientist and everything, and she's always thinking. And so While she's there, she's killing a couple of more. She stabs one with the knife. It's terrible CGI movement, and but it's a nice little struggle though, I gotta say. And it's cool seeing her do the combat stuff because you rarely see that happening. And I don't think in all the seasons, I don't think I've ever seen her punch anybody. I don't think. And so like she makes like an antigen bomb and she throws it in the holodeck and then boom, it explodes. But the thing is, it's kind of like, how did she know she got every single last one? How did she know all those viruses be attracted to the holodeck program? And this was back a long time ago when everybody use the same holodeck program. First, it was like that pool hall in Paris. Then it's that little beach resort. I love when the next seasons came because everybody, well, no, they still started doing the same crap. It was Captain Proton, or it was that weird village the next time, and it's just like, man, they need different holiday programs. So now that the virus is over and the Tat's all happy, the ship's back to normal and everything. And this is like a really cool solo Janeway episode, where she got to be like this whole like, butt kicking like type captain. And I really like Kate Mulgrew as like Captain Janeway. I know she was not the original choice because they had another actress, but she got picked on and couldn't take the pressure, and so she left, and then Mulgrew took over. I remember she kept telling the story of like how the executive producer sent the dudes in suits and they kept staring her down on set with their hands crossed because they was like hoping that she would probably like mess up or something like that. And so she proved them wrong and everything. And we got one of the best captains in like all of Star Trek history. But I still like Picard a whole lot more. Happy International Women's Day, everybody. All right. Well, I'll talk to you later. Bye.